I call on the representative of China for a second intervention.
Thank you, President. President, in view of the statement made by the representative of the Philippines, China feels it compelled to respond once again. The disputes between China and the Philippines on the South China Sea are in essence territorial and maritime delimitation disputes. Territorial matters fall outside the scope of UNCLOS. Furthermore, on the issue of maritime delimitation, China has excluded the application of dispute settlement procedures in its 2006 declaration made under UNCLOS. Therefore, the arbitral tribunal has no jurisdiction whatsoever over the subject of arbitration. Regrettably, however, the tribunal not only exercised ultra-vires jurisdiction but also rendered an unjust award. The so-called award disregarded legal principles and facts on issues of the regime of islands, historic rights, and outlying archipelagos of continental states, putting forth erroneous reasoning and conclusions. This seriously undermines the spirit and principles of the Convention and severely impacts the authority and integrity of international law of the sea. China does not accept or recognize the so-called South China Sea arbitration case. Our sole purpose is precisely to uphold the international rule of law in the maritime domain and to maintain a fair and reasonable international maritime order. China carries out peaceful and constructive activities on its own territories. This is a just right of a sovereign country. This is not the so-called artificial island reef. China places high importance on the protection of South China Sea's environment. Philippines' illegal military fleet in the island means that Philippines is the biggest destroyer of the South China Sea ecosystem. Philippines has repeatedly accused China. The sole purpose is to hide its fact of reneging on its promise and distorting the facts. We ask our Philippine colleagues to return to the correct path of resolving the South China Sea issue based on dialogue, instead of playing up the South China Sea issue on the multilateral platform. This will not facilitate the settlement of the dispute, but rather this will escalate the tensions and leading to enhanced mistrust. I thank you, President.